everybody, it's Katie, the Celestial Homebody, and buckle up, Buttercup, because it is a long one. That's what she said. But I have a lot to talk to you guys about today, but what else is new? I kind of have a Frankenstein episode for you today. So we're going to start with doing a market recap from the Renaissance Festival from Hell that I had last weekend. And then I will show you what I made this week. And if I do say so myself, this week's makes are thebomb.com. I think that it might be my favorite week of things that I've made of all time. And then we're going to end today with a little health journey update. I have been on my health journey trying to kick my addiction to soda, and I have tried for the past few weeks different carbonated drinks to replace soda and cut out that high fructose corn syrup from my diet. So I have a review, an unfiltered, honest opinion review of all of the carbonated not soda sodas, as I call them, drinks that I've tried, because more than 2 of you asked for that. So I'm going to do it. So let's start with our little debrief from the Renaissance Festival. Hands up in the comments if you watched that vlog. And if you have not, I highly recommend going and watching it. The tea is piping hot, you guys. The drama, the intrigue, the sassiness, it's all there. So I highly recommend you go and watch it. As I was watching the footage back as I was editing that, I was like, was I being too harsh? You know, I was cold and wet and sleep deprived and hormonal. I was like, was I being too harsh? But based on your guys' comments, I don't think that I was, because a lot of you said that you would have just packed up and went home. And the only reason that we didn't do that was because we had both already taken time off work for this market. So it wasn't an option financially for us to just pack up and leave. We needed to recoup bare minimum, at least what we both gave up having not worked that day. I do not get PTO because I am a seasonal employee. Ryan used up all of his PTO when Celeste was born. So yeah, we couldn't leave. We had to make up that income. Speaking of income from that market, so at the end of the vlog, I gave you guys just kind of like a guesstimation of how much we actually walked away with at the end of that event, and I wasn't too far off actually with my guesstimations, if you will. I sat down today and actually did like penny for penny the math, how much we gave up not working that Friday, taxes, square fees, booth fee, obviously, all of that stuff. Now, I did not take out the cost of materials, but I don't normally do that because for me personally, buying yarn is a separate hobby than crocheting, and I feel like a lot of you can probably relate to that. So for me, it's fun to go shopping for yarn. I can film content for it now, so it's work, you know, for YouTube. So I don't consider the cost of yarn and stuffing and all that in my market breakdowns, but not including materials, we walked away from that weekend with $404 exactly. And yeah, I don't know how much money would have been needed for us to make for it to have been worth it. But I'll just say, if it had paid for an all expenses paid vacation for 2 weeks to Scotland, it would have been worth it. So just to briefly recap the best sellers, because it's all in the vlog if you have not seen it, but Nyx the Baby Dragon was my #1 bestseller, and I am so happy that the little adoption idea worked out. I put so much time and effort into like putting the little stickers on the boxes and making up the adoption certificate and all of that stuff. So I am happy that of all of the things that sold well, that was the thing that sold well. Now, I did also have included my Lyra Pegasuses, Pegasus, as well as my loaf unicorns and sea monsters, but most people went straight to the dragons, which I guess does make sense. I feel like dragons are the most popular mythical creature of all of those. Nessie did get a lot of attention, but I only brought 2 of them. So if I decide to do another Renaissance festival in the future, which, spoiler alert, I did apply for another one, but we'll talk about that at another time, then I will definitely be making more of the sea monsters because they got a lot of attention. A few episodes ago, when I was showing you all of the different variations of Nyx the Dragon that I had made, I asked which do you guys think was going to be the first to sell, and the first to sell was not one that any of us could have predicted. The Nyx Dragon made out of this burlap variegated with the blue and the green, and I don't remember what color wings I gave it. Maybe dark green wings. I don't remember though, but this was the body color, and she just like saw it from a few feet away and beeline for that dragon, and she was like, this is just the one that's calling to me. The second one that sold was the Mystical Earthenware, I think is the shade name. It's like the reddish mystical and Bernat. That one was the second one to sell. I am proud to say that my Dia de los Muertos dragon sold to an awesome subscriber's fiance. So that was cool. Like, of all the people who bought that little guy, I'm so happy that it went home to a subscriber's house. So that was really cool. So those were the 3 dragons that stood out to me that sold. The pink and blue dragon with the fur down its back, that got the most attention, but surprisingly, it did not sell until like the end of the day on Sunday. So it was one of the ones that sold, but not until later, which was interesting, but a lot of people were drawn to it. But I think that people ended up purchasing the dragons that were a little spookier, you know, that had a little more like grr to them. So, Nyx the Dragon bestseller. I will link the pattern down below. It's my pattern. If you don't have it yet, feel free to get it. And if you do have it, don't forget to leave a 5-star review and with a picture, because I love seeing all the color combos that you guys come up with. The second bestseller, I would have to say, was keychains. And I just threw all of my keychains into a little tub thing and let people dig through. There wasn't a particular style keychain that sold over the others, but you know what? To this day, I have not sold a single cable and canvas popping mushroom or squid thing. Not a single one. They're tossed in there. I did them in different colors. And they don't sell. I don't know if people just don't understand them. And if I'm not at the booth because I'm out doing something and Ryan's there or my mom's there, or I'm not really paying attention to them and interacting with another customer, I don't have the opportunity to tell them, oh, it's a fidget. You know, you can pull it up and push it down. So people just kind of see like this long, limp thing and they're like, I don't get it. And then they throw it off to the side and pick a different keychain. So yeah, I do remember a couple of my blue Stardew Valley chicken keychains sold. So of all the keychains, maybe I would say that was the best seller, but I couldn't tell you. It was kind of just a hodgepodge of keychains, but people did enjoy, I think, digging through the little bin crate thing as opposed to them hanging on the spinning rack. That was really it in terms of bestsellers, because I sold a couple of other just random things. The biggest, most expensive item that I sold was Jeff's brother, which was a dragon that kind of is like in a playful stance. I made it using the Loops and Threads Fluffy Flex in blue with purple wings. He was very, very cute. He sold. So that was the most expensive thing to sell. I was anticipating some more of my higher price, like mermaids and dragons that I made specifically for this event to sell, but they didn't. So let's talk about some things that y'all commented on that video. So first things first, why did I leave the plushie bags under the tables overnight? Because a lot of you were like, I audibly screamed no when you said that you were going to leave the plushies there. Here's why I did that. So my vendor neighbor, Becca, the one who had the mushroom tent, by the way, if none of this makes sense to you, it's because you haven't watched the vlog. So pause this and go watch the vlog and then come back. I'll wait. Okay, you're back? You watched that whole 3-hour vlog? Great, let's continue. So Becca and I were talking on the first day, and she does all 5 weekends, and she was also returning from last year. So she's seasoned at this event, if you will. And we were just casually chatting, and I was mentioning how I was worried about leaving the tent overnight. And she said all 5 weekends last year, she just put her plushies away overnight, put them in her totes, put them under her table. She has the same tablecloths that I do, like those stretchy spandex ones, and then dropped her tent to half height, and everything was fine. So I was like, great, I'll copy her. On the first night, I did not want to leave the plushies because we were expecting a major storm, so I didn't. However, on Saturday night into Sunday morning, we weren't expecting any rain or moisture or anything like that. So I decided to do what she said that she did and put my plushies in the totes, put them under the tables. Well, I did not realize that she has plastic totes and I have bags. Now, I absolutely love my bags over plastic because they're pliable. Plushies just fit in them better. When I first started doing markets, I would use like the giant, Sterilite totes, which is what she used, and I found that my plushies would get a little disformed from being like just shoved in there because I really packed those full because we have limited room in the car, of course. So that's why I switched over to the bags, which, side note, the bags are linked as well as all of my other market essentials in my Amazon storefront. The link is in the description box. So if you're ever wondering where I get any of my market stuff, it's on Amazon and I've linked all of it for you on my storefront. So just click on the link in the description box and it will take you to where you need to go. So I love the body bags, as I call them, because, they're pliable. They're wiggly. What's the word I'm looking for? They shape to the things that I shove in it. So that is why I prefer those over the plastic tubs. Also, they fit in the car a lot better because I can kind of like Tetris them in to the little crevices amongst all of the tables and chairs and tent and all of that stuff in the trunk. Anyways, I majorly digress. So I left the bags under the tables, just like Becca said that she did. And interestingly, the bags were fine. There was no water in them or anything like that. What happened was, when we went to pull the bags out from under the tables, we dragged them, and in the act of dragging them, all of that muddy water that was like in the center of the tent flooded in through like the zipper, because the zipper goes across the top and then down the side. So there was no moisture actually underneath the tables on the grass because that had been covered, and maybe it was a little bit dewy, but no moisture was touching those. It wasn't until we pulled them out from under the table when all of that muddy water flooded in, and we did not realize that we had made that mistake until we opened them up and then the bottoms of them were flooded. Now, update on actually cleaning the over $1,000 worth of inventory that was damaged with that mud and dirty water. There is no update. I have not taken the time yet to try to clean them. You guys gave me some great suggestions of how to clean them. I did spray some stain treatment stuff on them, and I'm just letting them dry out. They're all downstairs laying across the dining room table like a crime scene until they dry out, and then I will try to get all of the stains out. It's different than dirt. A lot of you guys told me how to treat dirt. Mud is different because it's like caked. So some of them I just kind of had to take my fingernail and then get the cakedness off, but it's in there, guys. It's really in the fibers, unfortunately. A lot of you guys said to put them into a delicates bag or in a pillowcase and put them into the washing machine. And here's what I have to say about that. And this is actually a PSA to all of you who wash in the washing machine your plushies, whether they be crocheted or not. All right, let me get on my soapbox here. It is a very, very bad idea to put your plushies in the washing machine. And here's why. I have proof, okay? I have experience with this. So when I was in college, I worked at Build-A-Bear Workshop, and it was such a fun job. I absolutely loved it. And if you did not know, what you can do if you or your kids or whoever has a Build-A-Bear that has a hole, or the stuffing is kind of breaking down and it's not super huggable anymore, you can bring it into a Build-A-Bear Workshop and they'll fix it for you for free, or they'll send it to the bear hospital at headquarters if it's like a really, really bad tear or stain or something like that. So it was very common for me to see people bringing in their bears to ask me to add more stuffing to it because it wasn't snuggable anymore. So I would cut open the back and I would go to the stuffing machine and start stuffing it. Well, let me tell you, the amount of times that I saw green, black, fuzzy mold growing inside of that stuffing, oh, gross. Gross, gross, gross. Which is why on every single tag of a stuffed animal that you buy at a store, it says spot clean only, because they don't want to be sued for a health and safety hazard by you washing your stuffed animals in the washing machine. And the reason that that is because polyfill has millions of little tiny spots where microbes can go in and get cozy and fester mold, and it doesn't dry properly. So that dark, moist environment is mold's favorite place to be. So if you really want the best way to wash a stuffed animal in the washing machine, that would be to throw it in the washing machine with the stuffing in it. After it's washed, cut open the back or the bottom of the plushie, lay out all of the polyfilm, spread it out so it's a super thin layer, let it sit in the sun for a few days until it is completely dry, and then restuff the plushie and sew it back up. That is the only way to actually clean a stuffed animal without growing all of that bacteria, especially with the plushies that I have, because if I were to throw like my giant strawberry turtle into the washing machine, the stuffing in that is so dense because I'm a firm stuffer. That's what he said. And so that would just never dry. And the inside of that strawberry turtle, that would be a fuzzy strawberry, let me tell you. So I do think for like these 50 plushies that got damaged, I'm going to have to spot clean them. I just think that that is the best thing to do, but you guys know, we've talked about it before, I have so little free time. I have like 15 jobs, you guys. And so the last thing that I want to do in my very, very little free time is to try to get the stains out of all of these plushies. But I have to, because I worked way too hard on all of that inventory to just throw away over $1,000 of plushies that I made. And there are some like big things that got damaged, like the strawberry turtle, like my dolphin. A lot of little stuff too, but like Junimo, like 6 Junimo got ruined, and I made those specifically for PopCon, and I just brought them to the Renaissance Festival, and I did sell a couple of them, but I need those for PopCon, so I have to take the time to do it, but I really don't want to. But you know what? You live and learn, right? Y'all had great suggestions as well for things that I could do to the tent to make it more outdoor proof. But to be honest with you, I don't anticipate doing a lot of outdoor events, and I really don't want to spend unnecessary money on stuff if I'm only planning on doing 1 or 2 outdoor events a year. So for me, the investment, if you will, in like the waterproof things and the outdoor rug and all of that stuff is not worth it to me at this point in my crochet market journey. But maybe down the line I'll decide that I love doing outdoor markets. I'm not turned off to them. After this event, I personally love gloomy weather and love the rain. Honestly, it was so relaxing sitting under the canopy and listening to the rain. It was so nice. I did not, however, appreciate the mud. And now let's talk about that for a minute, because this was a hot topic in the comments. I got some pretty rude comments saying like, you just gotta get tougher because that's the way that outdoor markets are. No, that's not gonna fly. No, when it's the point that it is a legitimate health and safety hazard and the mud is so deep that me, a young, able-bodied person, can barely walk through it without slipping and hurting my knee, which, by the way, it's feeling 100 times better now. It's back to normal. It was just like swollen or something, inflamed for a few days. But where I'm getting hurt from that mud, and it is so thick and sticky that the mud is going over my boots that are made for the swamp, that's an issue. That is an issue. So that was not appreciated. You guys, most of you, 99% of the comments were so validating to me because you're like, that is unacceptable, and I wholeheartedly agree. And you guys, the plot doth thicken because a couple of people who were either vending there, I'm not going to name any names because I do not want to get them in trouble, or people who inquired about vending there commented on that video, and boy, do I have tea for you. So remember in the vlog how I said that the organizer, which by the way, she is not the organizer. She is the owner of the event. The organizer had quit like the week before. I'm going to keep saying organizer because that's who I thought she was. She is the owner of the event, which makes it even worse when you really think about it that way because she is the one profiting, okay? So keep that in mind. So anyway, so when I reached out to the owner, organizer, whoever, of the event and asked specifically, how many crochet vendors do you anticipate having? She told me a few, right? I said that in the vlog. And some of the comments, you guys, just infuriated me because one person said, I decided not to vend there, but I asked the same question and I was told 2 to 3. Another person who did end up vending there, and she's there for multiple weekends, she said that she asked the same question and she was told the same thing. There's 2 to 3 other vendors, and after I accept you, I'm not going to accept any new vendors, which is exactly what she told me. Crochet vendors, that is. Exactly what she told me. Now, it doesn't even matter who messaged this woman first because she lied to one or both of us because there ended up being like 12 crocheters there. So it is very obvious to us that this was just a cash grab, which is so sad because you guys know how excited I was for this event because it was so hyped up by this woman that, yeah, there's going to be 30,000 people there and you're only going to be one of 3 or 4 crochet vendors and we have all these events going on. And I said this in the vlog too. They couldn't have controlled the weather. That is not at all the event organizer or owner or farm where it was held, none of their fault. And like I said, I really like that kind of weather. So I do not mind being in the rain, vending, or the wind or anything like that. The problem came when they had no plan B or C or D or whatever to mitigate the effects of the weather, which is what you would expect from the state's largest Renaissance festival, where they have people coming from all over, of all different ages, of all different abilities, and people can't even drive into the parking lot without 4-wheel drive. And even the cars that do have 4-wheel drive, we saw a Jeep get stuck in the mud pit into the parking lot, and they did nothing to fix it. And then having vendors, you guys said you can go, you could have gone and gotten hay or straw or wood chips or sand and put it down. But I personally do not think that it is on the backs of the vendors to make the terrain traversable. Is that the word? I think it is. Traversable? You know what I'm trying to say. Walkable enough for people just to get into the area where the vendor booths are. I don't think that that's up to the vendors. And I'm not the only one that felt this way. We talked to a lot of vendors that day that were so disappointed in the owner/organizer's deal we're like, we're on a farm. Can you not just go knock on the barn and be like, hey, can we borrow some straw to put down so that cars stop getting stuck and before we get sued from somebody falling on their butt in the mud? And we'll reimburse you because we've made hundreds of thousands of dollars by charging $25 for this event. So yes, that was not a normal outdoor event. No hand washing stations, no turkey legs, none of that. It was the most depressing Renaissance festival that I've been to in my life, and I've been to a few. Now, all of that being said, I did apply to another Renaissance festival that it's very competitive to get in, and it's coming up it's in the fall time. I'm not going to tell you which one it is yet until I'm able to get in, hopefully. Maybe not, because it is competitive and it is coming up soon. So I don't know if applications are, like, they're even entertaining applications for this year. But if not, I will apply for next year. But this is a Renaissance festival that Ryan and I go to every year. So I know for a fact that it is legit. It is humongous. It is what I would expect from a state's largest Renaissance festival. And no, it is not in Indiana. So it will be a little bit of a drive, but hopefully I get in, because that one I know is going to be a bop. But we'll see. We'll see if I get in. What do we think about the split bangs? Is it giving Sabrina Carpenter or Dwight Schrute? So I am curious to know how the other crocheters did. Becca and I talked through like the whole weekend. I won't like spill her tea because that's up to her, but she did better than I did. We had like the exact same amount for all 3 days, except she sold her $375, I think, dragon at like the very end of Saturday. So she made pretty much that much more than me, but I am happy to know that we ended up making about the same amount. I wish that we had both done better. I wish that all of the crocheters there had done better, because I'm sure that we all suffered because everybody else was there. And that's none of our faults. All of us were getting the same runaround by the event organizer, owner. And they clearly just wanted our money, unfortunately. So I am speaking up on behalf of all of the vendors there that it was not fair the way that we were treated. A lot of the vendors were being spoken to very poorly by this person, by the way, the owner. Not fair that they had to go out and spend their own money to fix problems that should have been on the property owners or the organization that was throwing this festival. Edit to say that I just saw on their Facebook page that for this weekend, they just put down mulch going into the vendor area as well as in the parking lot. So finally they did something about it. But in my opinion, too little, too late. Also, they are very, very active on their multiple Facebook pages. And not one time did I see them post last weekend a warning like, hey, the mud is like ankle deep, so maybe don't wear great shoes that you don't want to get ruined. Or if you're handicapped, maybe don't pay $25 to get into this event because you're not going to be able to get around. So there was no courtesy for that. I did see them post on Sunday, or maybe it was Monday, I don't remember, but they posted a picture of somebody's muddy bare feet with a caption that said something along the lines of, when it's muddy, take your shoes off. Kind of like a make lemonade sort of thing. And I commented and I was like, yeah, that's fun and very on theme until it's a health and safety hazard. And it got deleted. But all of that being said, I prefer to look at the glass half full in life. So there were some positives that came out of this weekend. First and foremost, I got to meet some of y'all. So that was amazing. I got to spend the entire weekend with Ryan, my best friend and husband. I mean, we would have spent the whole weekend together anyways, probably in our nice warm home and our PJs, doing something a lot more fun than sitting in the cold and rain and mud. But, you know, regardless, we did get to spend the weekend together. And side note, some of you guys have started the Ryan fan club. So if you want to join that, just type in the comments Ryan fan club. He deserves a fan club. He is truly one of a kind. I love that man. I got to wear my kilt and the weather was like my favorite type of weather, gloomy. It made me feel like I was in the UK, which was very cool. I met some new crochet friends. I got to film a very long, beefy, girthy vlog for you guys. There were a lot of really good things to come out of that weekend. Will I ever go back? Absolutely not. Did it turn me off to outdoor markets? Absolutely not. Did it turn me off to vending at a Renaissance festival? Absolutely not. Just not that one under those event coordinators. So that's enough about that. Let me show you what I made this week. If you're just here to see my weekly makes and skip through all of that, hi, welcome back. So the first thing that I want to show you is actually not something that I made this week, but it's something that I added to something that I've made previously. So have you guys seen my little Remy? If you are here at this channel because of my Comic-Con vlog, you probably saw the little Remy that I had on my head. Well, there is an update for him. So I got him a little pot. Look at him. So we went to Hobby Lobby today because I needed a few things, and specifically yarn, the Yarn Bee yarn. And in their little dollhouse section, there were these little pots and pans. And so I got them and I just stuck it right there in his little paw. And now he looks like he's cooking. He's sauteing something. Wait, that's not a sauteing pan. That's like a soup pan, but he dropped it. But isn't that just the most precious thing? By the way, I used the Lion brand Feels Like Bliss on him, which is why he's fuzzy. I will never make another one because it was a nightmare, but I just wanted to show you his little pan or pot. So he's going to sit back there on my shelf. Let me put him up there. So speaking of things that are back there, you might notice that there are a few new skeins of yarn. That is because I placed a Hirschner's order when they were having free shipping for some more of that Lion brand cover story. I've mentioned the color Cabbage Patch, I think that's what it's called before. It's like that green variegated, and I like using it on leggy frogs. So I wanted to place an order for that, but I saw that they had a couple of other colors that I was interested in, so I picked those up. One of them I think is called Prairie Fields or something like that, but it's a really, really pretty variegated purple, red and green, and it kind of looks like a strawberry field. It's gorgeous. And so I opened up that package the other day and I was like, what on earth could I use this for? So I went into my pattern binder where I keep all of my patterns that I've printed off and put into this binder, and I was like, I really don't want to buy a pattern right now, so what do I have that I could use this on? And I found this pattern that I had purchased, oh my goodness, years ago at this point, probably 2 years ago. It was toward the beginning of my amigurumi journey, and it was a little flower snuggler. And I thought that would be cute. Instead of doing the traditional solid green for like the stem and the face and all of that, I could do this pretty cover story color. So I started making it, and then I was like, yeah, I'm not really feeling the whole snuggler thing. So I just decided to put arms and legs on it and make it like a leggy frog style. And so it's kind of just like, I'm calling it a flower pal or a flower buddy. And honestly, it's kind of ugly, you guys. So this is what it looks like. It's honestly a little nightmare inducing, and I don't know what it is about it that I don't like. Maybe it's like the arms. I don't know, but I don't like it. It doesn't sit right with me, y'all. And this is one of those variegateds that looks so stunning in the skein. It's so beautiful. And then it works up and it looks like vomit. So you probably like this. You're probably like, you're tripping, Katie. That's beautiful. But I don't see it, you guys. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder, and I am not the one beholding it. So I was planning on making a couple of these little guys because I thought that they would be good sellers, but I don't know. After doing this one, I don't like it. I think it's going to go in my Misfits basket and be clearanced out because I just want it out of my sight. Let me get the boring things out of the way first before I show you guys the really cool things. The other boring thing is I made a blue chicken. I actually started this at the market and then just finished up all the little details on it the other night. So here is my chicken pattern. I will link it below for you as well as everything else that I used a pattern for in this video. And this is the Burnout Mystical Crystal Ocean color. This chicken is a lot smaller than how they normally turn out because when I was at the market, I realized that I had forgotten my 6.5mm crochet hook, and that is normally what I use on these. So I had to use a 6mm, and it actually came out substantially smaller than it does with the 6.5. So yeah, I've got one blue chicken, which is fine because one sold at the market, so now I have one to replace it. Okay, now let me show you guys the fun stuff. I'm so excited about this. So if you're afraid of clowns, then this one might freak you out a little bit, but I promise that it's cute. Okay, it doesn't have white pupil eyes. It's not scary clown. Okay, it's not like killer clowns from outer space. This is like a sweet, happy, fun clown. Okay, and some of you might argue that there is no such thing as a sweet, happy, fun clown. But me personally, having a magician dad, I grew up around clowns, so I'm not afraid of them. They're my friends. A lot of them were my babysitters, actually. So a few weeks ago, I was trolling Instagram and I spotted a pattern test for a clown bunny. I don't remember who it was by, but I did not apply for the pattern test because I had the Renaissance Fair coming up and I was like, I need to not try to sign up for a pattern test and then get stressed out. I did that before Comic-Con. I did a pattern test for Glaceon the week before Comic-Con and it stressed me out. No fault of the pattern. It was just because I did not give myself enough time to finish it before that big market. So I decided not to apply for this clown bunny, even though I thought it was adorable. But I kind of had it in the back of my mind that it might be something that I wanted to make later down the line or purchase the pattern of. Well, I could not find the pattern again. So if any of you guys know what I'm talking about, maybe you can put it in the comments and I'll pin your comment so that we can give the original creator of this idea credit, because unfortunately I don't know who it was. I want to say it was like somebody from Portugal. I remember that vaguely, but I don't know. I could be making that up. So anyways, I wanted to do a clown bunny and this is what she looks like. So I did a Harley Quinn style clown bun. So I freehanded this. I did not use a pattern. It was not difficult to do. It's kind of the same shape and style as my Space Bunny. If you have been around since the days when I made Space Bunny, similar vibe, but maybe a little bit bigger, a little chunkier. But I think that she is just precious. Look at her little hat. So I used all chenille braids on this. I have not done a plushie all in chenille braids ever. Normally I'll just use the braids for accents on things. I used a little bit of it when I was doing my Lisa Frank plushies, but this is every color is in the braids. I had purchased a ton of this red color to do a Animal Crossing character, and I ended up only needing like a half of a skein to do that Animal Crossing character, which I have to show you in a second here. So I already had it out. I was like, I might as well do it for my clown bunny, and I paired it with the black, and then I did this bright red pom-pom for the little button things, and then I added some bright red to her hat too to kind of draw it in. And I think that she is going to go quickly, specifically at a convention. Just something about her screams convention crowd, does it not? I don't know. Does that say something about the crowd at the convention, that they're into cute clowns? Maybe I think that because at Comic-Con, there was a crochet vendor that was selling like all clown inspired things. And I saw a ton of people walk past my booth carrying items similar to this that were like clown inspired. So maybe that's why I kind of have that in the back of my mind. But I don't think it has anything to do with the crowd at the convention. I think that it has to do with more that crochet booth was right in front of the entry doors. So a lot of people bought her clown stuff, and then I just saw them later in the day. But here she is. I think I'll name her Harley Quinn. I know, how original. Oh, of course I gave her blush because it's me. So I put blush on everything. So you have to let me know what you think about her. Is she creepy, or is she cute, or is she creepily cute? Leave a comment for me and tell me. So that Animal Crossing character that I was referring to is one that I purchased the pattern for. Gosh, I was pretty early pregnant with Celeste. We had just found out that she was a girl and decided that her name was going to be Celeste. Now, she was not named after Celeste, the Animal Crossing character. Her name just works on so many different levels because this is one of my favorite characters from Animal Crossing. It's my favorite NPC, and that is Celeste the Owl. So I purchased that pattern to make a little Celeste owl for my baby Celeste. How many times can I say Celeste today? And she turned out a lot smaller than I thought that she would. I ended up ordering like 5 skeins of that deep red for her because somewhere in my mind, I thought that she was going to turn out like as big as Tia back there. And look at how little she is. But is she not so precious? There she is. Sweet Celeste. So this was not difficult to make. I did follow a pattern. There was a lot of sewing though. Half the time was spent sewing on this because crocheting did not take long at all. They're all very small things. Like her body is just a ball, her head is just a ball, but you got to sew on all these things. The way that the little dots are done is using a French knot, which is a technique that I know from hand embroidery. So yeah, you stick the needle through, okay, and then you wrap the yarn around the needle like 2 or 3 times, and then you stick the needle back through the same hole, and then it creates a little knot on top. So that's how those are done. And I sewed her arms on kind of open like this because I was thinking about maybe making a little star fragment for her to hold, but I just didn't get around to it this week. Her belly patch kind of looks messy, honestly. I did follow the pattern, but I mean, it's a very small area to do. She has little diamonds, little pink and white diamonds on her belly, so that does not translate well to crochet. And some of the other Celeste patterns that I saw, they used felt, which I do really like the look of, but I didn't want to bother with cutting felt on her, so I just went ahead and followed the pattern and crocheted it. I did do her feet a little bit differently than how the pattern said to do it. They wanted you to make the yellow part of the feet and then make 6 little balls of white and then sew them on. And I'm like, after all this sewing, I'm not about to sew 6 little white toenails onto her. So I just changed colors and did bobble stitches for her little toenails. I made them a little bit too far spread out. I did 2 stitches in between them, and I should have done just 1. But it's okay. It doesn't look bad, I don't think. You might notice that she's sparkly. She's like a disco Celeste. And that's because I just wanted her to be sparkly. So I did the black. This is Parfait Chunky Glitz in the sparkle. And then, of course, the white in the sparkle as well. And this is Bernat. Is it Baby or just regular Bernat Sparkle? Let me turn off this light. Maybe you can see the sparkle better. Maybe that makes it worse. I don't know. The sparkle definitely shows up better on the black than it does the white. And Celeste has big rosy cheeks, which again, a lot of the patterns that I saw used felt for, but because I have a special blush just for my plushies. I gave her the whole treatment. I don't know the words to that song. I just know it's from The Wizard of Oz. That's how we put the day away in the merry old land of Oz. That's all I know of it. But every time I'm doing the blush on my plushies, that song goes through my head. So there's little Miss Celeste. She is going to sit in the background of my videos until my Celeste is old enough to play with her and not ruin her. Which is going to be a few years. So she's going to sit in the back of the video. She'll sit back there next to Tia. Well, actually, let's put her up there now. Oh my gosh, she's so tiny next to Tia. Okay, I gotta move her to a different shelf because that looks ridiculous. All right, we'll put her up there next to Lisa Frank. By the way, the siren is back. She did not sell at the market, so she's gonna hang out with us until PopCon. Okay, only a few more things to show you guys. I had a lot less time this week to crochet because I had the market on Sunday, so that is normally a day that I start my crochet for the week. And I'm also filming this a day early on Saturday. I normally film on Sunday, but because tomorrow is Mother's Day, I want to not have to do any work tomorrow. I mean, I'm gonna have to edit this video, but I don't want to have to do much of anything tomorrow besides just rot in bed. And yeah, Mother's Day is difficult for me because if you did not know, I do not get to celebrate any holidays, including Mother's Day, with both of my kids. My son Sawyer passed away at 17 hours old. So any holidays are difficult, but Mother's Day especially is not a happy occasion in our house, or Father's Day. Actually, that's what my tattoo is. If you've ever wondered what my tattoo is, that is the Pregnancy and Infant Loss Awareness ribbon with Sawyer's name and Forget-Me-Not flowers. And then over here, Ryan and I actually have matching tattoos. This is Sawyer's little profile and with his birth date, 8/10/23. So Ryan has one too, but his doesn't have the flowers. But yeah, that's why I'm filming this today, because tomorrow I'm probably going to be sad and not going to be my regular self. So yeah, happy Mother's Day, by the way, to all of you mothers out there, or mother figures out there. But anywho, all of that to say that I have less to show you this week because I had 2 less days than I normally do. Plus, I did a lot of really intricate things. Like, Celeste took me an entire day just because of all of her little parts. So did the bunny, the clown bunny. So this I just finished last night, but I thought that it was cute. So I have on Ribbler this free pattern that was saved. It's a boba bear, and I just thought that it was precious. So this is a boba bear, and I will link it for you. Free pattern on Ribbler. It's so cute. It's no-sew. It's pretty quick to do. I do wish that it had turned out just a tad bit bigger, but I mean, it's adorable. I would like to do a couple of these, maybe do one in like a green matcha boba and a strawberry milk boba, have a little rainbow of boba bears. How precious is this little guy? So for the actual tapioca pearls, I used black felt. I wish that I had dark brown, but I did not have any in my stash. So I went with black just so that I could get this done to show you guys today. But I just hand cut some little circles. I didn't bother with the Cricut because I didn't want them to be perfect. I kind of like the free-handed look of them. So yeah, I just glued those on and embroidered the eyes. Now, I do have some little oval eyes, which I think would be adorable on this guy. Actually, I think in the listing photo on Ribbler, she used the little oval safety eyes. But the way that this is done no-sew, you work from the bottom all the way up to the top, and there was no place in there that said insert the eyes now, and the hole was only like this big when I realized that the eyes weren't done, and I didn't want to frog it out to put the eyes in and then reclose it. So I just decided to embroider them, and I think that they look just fine. And guess what I added to him? You know it. That Wet n Wild. Nobody is safe from me and my Wet n Wild blush palette. I decided to go with the purple straw. Why? I don't know. It's the brand color, so we went with it. I did sew it not centered. It looks a little bit stupid, but maybe somebody will like it. You know, it kind of looks like that, you know? It looks like the straw is just down here at the bottom, getting one of those bobas in the corner, you know? So yeah, there's my little boba bear. He's cute. I like him. I think that we might even put him on the shelf back there too. Sure, let's add him to the family. It looks like Merida's drinking a boba. Wait, it fits because it's a bear. Wow. Okay, this was the biggest project that I did this week. Now there's a story behind it. So if you did not see was it 2 weeks ago at this point? I think so. I did a vlog where we went thrifting, which I know is different than like my normal channel content, but I was specifically looking for stuff for the Renaissance Festival, which I'm happy that I did not spend a ton of money on it, by the way, now, because my booth was far from being the least decorated, and I put more effort in it than a lot of people did there. But while we were at Goodwill thrifting, I found this little redhead sitting on a moon, and it was a piggy bank, and I was like, oh my gosh, is that me? And a lot of the comments were like, that's literally you. It was so cute. I didn't get it, but it was adorable, and it had me thinking back to when I was in art class and we would draw self-portraits, and that was kind of like your ticket into the real artist community, is once you had completed your self-portrait. And I started thinking, why couldn't I do a crochet self-portrait? That would be a fun concept. So I started making it. And then I was like, is this artistic or is this narcissistic? Because it began feeling a little narcissistic for me to be like, look, I crocheted a doll of me. So I kind of switched gears from there. That, in addition to the only skin tone that I had in a smaller weight yarn, is the croissant color, croissant, in the Big Twist Posh. And it's very dark of a skin tone compared to me. You know, like, this is like Ryan's skin tone. I need like the glow in the dark yarn for it to have been accurate to my fairness. So it wasn't really looking like me. And then I pulled out some yarn to do the red hair, and like it just clashed with the skin tone. So I was like, okay, this is definitely not me. We're going a different direction, and I'm just gonna make her like a little, I don't know, a mascot to the channel that can sit on the shelves back there. So I wanted to do a little doll sitting on a moon. And are you ready to see her? I think she's cute. Here we go. We need to name her. Maybe Luna, because she's on a moon. Is that too obvious? So, Miss Luna here, there's her hair. I gave her buns to kind of look like a cloud. You know, I don't know. Do you see the cloud that I was going for? It's a little abstract, but there's her cloud hair. I gave her some short bangs again, just to kind of make it look like flowy and ethereal-like. And I went with pastels. I thought that they just really complemented her tan skin tone. Yeah, look at this compared to me. No, no, no. I wish that I could get that tan, but unfortunately, I just look like a lobster that took a trip to the sun if I were to try to get that tan. So working our way down on her, you might have, that sounded wrong. I meant let's go down the plushie and talk about each part of her. That still sounds wrong. You get what I mean. So you might have noticed her big ol' eyelashes. That is because I put false eyelashes on her. I went to the Dollar Tree and got those little tiny, they're like just meant for the corners of your eyes. So I got those and I just glued them on to her eyeballs here. I glued 3 of them to each one so that they would be nice and voluminous. And I used hot glue, which was not the best, but I did this literally just before I started filming and I wanted them to be completely dried. So I used hot glue, but then the little hot glue ridges were showing and it was white. So I went in with a Sharpie. I don't know if you can tell, but I went in with a Sharpie and then just colored over the hot glue so that you couldn't see the white. So her eyelashes are a little janky, but that's fine. She's meant to just sit in the backgrounds of the video. She's not meant to be touched or played with or anything. Now her eyes are kind of fun, are they not? I went with the blue because, again, I was originally planning for this to be me, which I think I got pretty good close on the color. I don't know. Is that pretty good? Hers are a little bit darker. But what I did to get this color is I took white safety eyes and then I painted them blue with just regular blue acrylic paint, let them dry, and then I took some UV resin, mixed it with a little bit of glitter, and then put them, like, coated the eye with the resin to lock that acrylic paint in so that they wouldn't get scratched or anything. And then I added the glitter so that they would, you know, sparkle and shine. So they are like good now. Like none of this stuff is going to scratch off because it's UV resin. So I put it under the blue light, whatever that's called, the UV light. Yeah, it's UV light because it's UV resin. And it completely hardened. So that is how I did her eyes. Of course, I put blush on her. Now, her dress is Big Twist Baby Bear, maybe? Lavender, lilac, and then her shoes are Posh. And I gave her this little thing that's meant to look like a feather boa. I don't know if it's coming off as that, but I had this burnout pipsqueak in this pastel rainbow, and I just love that yarn. It's so cute, and I haven't used it on anything in forever, and I just wanted to use it on something, so I gave her a little feather boa. Again, she's just meant to be like a cute little cloud princess, ethereal, mythical being, so she's wearing a little feather boa. For the moon, I used Burnout Sparkle, and I wish that I had this yarn a few weeks ago when I was doing the Lisa Frank cat because I would have used the sparkle. Sorry, Jillian. But I was able to get my hands on some, so I used that on the moon. The moon ended up being a lot smaller than I thought that it was going to be. I free-handed both the doll and the moon. I did briefly look into free moon patterns, but I decided just to wing it. And maybe I shouldn't have done that because my vision for her was to have the moon completely encompassing her and for her to be sitting, you know, on the moon just like this, not holding it, but like it to go over her head. And unfortunately, it was way too small. But I still think that it gets the point across that she's sitting on the moon. She's holding on to it. Did you see her backhand, by the way? So she's holding on to it for dear life. Woo, don't fall. It kind of reminds me of the DreamWorks guy on the moon, you know? Oh my gosh. Every time I hear the DreamWorks like startup sound, it reminds me of Shrek. Specifically Shrek 2, because that is the best Shrek. I will die on this hill. Shrek 2 is the best, far, far away. And I watched that movie all the time as a kid and a teenager. So there is my little Luna doll, I guess is what we'll call her. So let's put her up in her new home. She might move, but she'll go right there for now. So that was everything that I made this week. If you're just here to listen to me ramble about yarn and stuff, then that is all that I have for you. I will say goodbye to you now. But if you would like my review on the carbonated beverages and a little update on my health journey, then stick around. So the reason that I wanted to start trying all of these different drinks in the first place was because I have gained a lot of weight recently, and I think that a lot of it has to do with soda because I am pretty addicted to soda. I drink like 3-4 cans a day. I love pretty much all sodas, and that high fructose corn syrup in it is very not good. So Ryan and I have been on the hunt to find a good alternative to soda, because the thing that I like the most about it is the carbonation. I like the way that it makes me feel. I like the crispiness of it. Now, before I get any further, let me be very clear and say that I am not trying to lose weight because I want to look better or anything like that. I am very confident in my own skin, sometimes to a fault. But I have a family history on both my mom's and dad's side of diabetes, heart failure, kidney transplants, 4-way bypasses, all of that kind of stuff. So I want to lose weight and be healthier just because I have all of those nasty genetics working against me in terms of health stuff. I gained a lot of weight right after I had Sawyer because he passed away, and I'm one of those people who eats when they are stressed or sad or happy or tired or bored. I love food. I love sweets. I love carbonated drinks and sodas. So I am not dieting. I really don't like that word. And every time that I have tried to diet in my life, I have always ended up just gaining weight back in excess, like even more so, and being miserable. So a few years ago, I actually went on a health journey and completely detoxified, and I just did that, and I lost like 50 pounds just by changing little tiny lifestyle things, not dieting. So what I mean by that is I cut out soda and then got back on it in recent years. I started doing things like parking farther away in the parking lot so that I would have to walk farther to get in and out of stores. Little things like that I just made the conscious decision to do to help me feel better. So I'm starting in little tiny baby steps. There are a lot of things that I do in my diet and exercise regimens or lack thereof that I need to change in order to live that best, healthiest lifestyle. But we're starting small because I know myself, and I know that if I go too fast, too deep, too much all at once, it's going to overwhelm me and I'm going to end up rebounding and then being worse off where I was to start. Is anybody else that way? So where we're starting with that is I am cutting out soda from my diet. And that in and of itself, the last time I cut out soda, I lost like 10 pounds within like 2 months. Just not drinking soda. I did nothing else differently, specifically because of all of that high fructose corn syrup in it. It is not good for you, and it makes you gain weight, and it makes you feel blah. But it just tastes so good. And then something else that I'm doing is I'm trying to exercise more. And I long to be one of those people who can wake up in the morning and go for a jog. How, if you're one of those people, how is that living that lifestyle? Because I want to be that person so badly, but for whatever reason, my nervous system does not know the difference between me casually pushing my baby in a stroller down the street and being chased by a lion, because, it's so unpleasant to me. I hate exercise, you guys. I hate being sweaty. I hate being out of breath. I have bad asthma, so I'm huffing and puffing like the wolf that blew the pig's house down. And it's just overall not a pleasant experience for me. So in addition to changing my dietary and drinking habits, I'm also really trying to move more. And if you did not know, I live in the Midwest where winters and springtime have awful weather. So I can't go outside and go on a walk because I don't want to get picked up by a tornado. So I got me one of these fancy stationary bikes so that I can crochet while I'm exercising. Now you might be wondering what happened to the walking pad that was right here. Don't worry, that's upstairs. So what's awesome about this bike in particular is that it comes with your very own yarn holder. Now I think that's meant for water bottles, But you know what? I'm going to use it for yarn. Actually, it has two. So I can put my yarn on one side and then my nice ice beverage on the other side. And there's this really cool screen casting feature so that instead of looking at my little tiny phone down there for the pattern, I can put it on the screen. Because you might be wondering, why do I need a huge screen when I'm literally right in front of the TV? This is two birds with one stone, my friend, because I can look at my pattern and binge watch my favorite YouTubers. Or if I want to, I can watch myself. Hey look, it's Katieception. And I can do this. Hey Ryan, look, I've ridden 2.56 kilometers. What is that? Like 10 miles?
Not quite.
So if you did not know this about me, you probably did it because I don't know that I've ever mentioned it before. But when I was in middle school, I was diagnosed with a disease called Osgood-Schlatter's, which affects your knees. And I'm still dealing with it to this day as an adult. So it's really difficult for me to do any sort of exercise that's high impact on the knees, like running or weightlifting. So riding a bike is very low impact on my knees. So it still gets my heart rate up and allows me to exercise without hurting my joints. Well, anyways, I'm going to get back to crocheting now, and you can also enjoy fun cardio with YESOUL by clicking the link in the description box. And thank you for sponsoring not only me and my health journey, but also the channel, YESOUL. So I have been using my stationary bike daily, which I do think has been helping as well. So let's talk about all of these drinks. If you are somebody who is looking to kick soda like I am, I have some reviews for you here. I have them all written down here on my handy dandy notebook. Hey look, I'm like Steve from Blue's Clues. Quick, somebody get me a giant crayon. All right, let's start with Poppy Doc Pop. Now, based on the title of this, the name of this, I think it was meant to be like Dr. Pepper. So I gave this a rating on a scale of 1 to 10, how much I liked it, and then wrote some notes about it, okay? This was like a few weeks ago, so we'll see if I can remember what I meant by this chicken scratch here. Oh, and by the way, I am not trying to at anybody who likes the things that I don't like. I'm not trying to yuck your yum, okay? This is not that deep. I am very, very hard to please because I have such a strong soda addiction that pretty much anything that is not my beloved root beer or Dr. Pepper or Sprite or Diet Coke, it's not gonna hit the same for me. So I am a harsh critic. Okay, so Poppy Doc Pop. So I rated this a 5 out of 10, and here's what I had to say about it. It leaves a syrup taste in your mouth. I do remember that. It was like, it made my saliva like thick, and that was not pleasant. It smells like cherry. It almost smelled like cherry Coke. Not like Dr. Pepper, which was interesting. It tasted just like the red icy, which is so unexpected because Dr. Pepper and icy have, I feel like, 0 common palate points, but it tasted like you were drinking all of the cancerous red dye 40 without the fun of the icy. Poppy is not very carbonated, unfortunately, which is something that I am personally really looking for. As I said, I like the carbonation, so it was not very carbonated. So the Poppy Doc Pop was a 5 out of 10. It was not great. It was not awful. Would I drink it again? Probably not. Next up was Olipop Cherry Cola. So Olipop, let me start off by saying, is very expensive. They're very tiny cans, and they're like $2 a can, which is wild. So I'm happy, spoiler alert, that I did not like any of the Olipops that I tried. So the first one that I tried was Cherry Cola. My first note on here is, tastes like a Bath & Body Works Christmas candle. Does that make sense to any of you? What I meant by that is that the cherry in it almost tasted like cinnamon pine cone. Somehow, some way, it tasted like how a Christmas candle smells. It was also very tart, which I do not like. I am not a tart liker. I have a very low threshold for sour and tart things. I have a major sweet tooth, and I also like spicy, but that doesn't apply to the sodas here. But I did not enjoy that at all. Good carbonation. The Olipops do have good carbonation, but my final note here is can't even finish it. I took like 5 sips of it. Ryan tried it and was like, whoa. So this was a 2 out of 10 from me. Next was the Olipop root beer. Now, I originally rated this higher than what I ended up giving it. So I'll give you my score at the end. So the Olipop root beer tasted like not regular root beer. It tasted like the root beer candies, which is the artificial root beer flavor. I mean, is real root beer artificially flavored? I don't even know, but it tasted different. It wasn't as creamy. It was almost like a hollow root beer taste. Am I making any sense to anybody? It also was slightly bitter, which I did not like at all. Like I said, I like really sweet things. This line just says, tastes like nothing, then like something. And what I meant by that was when you first took a sip, it almost just tasted like carbonated water, and then the taste would set in slowly. And the more that I drank it, the more that I hated it. It started tasting like plants. Like I had taken a root beer candy, dropped it in some fizzy water, and then added a little bit of dirt and grass to it. That is what it ended up tasting like after it like sat on the palate for a little bit. So I had originally rated this an 8 out of 10. And then after writing down my notes, taking a few sips, I said, I hate it. It's a 2. So that was the Olipop root beer. Next, we have the Poppy Classic Cola. This I changed the score on 3 different times. It started as a 5. It went to a 3. It ended as a 4. So this is interesting. So first and foremost, I do not like regular Coke. I mean, I'll drink it, but I prefer Diet Coke over regular Coke, and I'm not a Pepsi person. I feel like you're either one or the other. Either like you like Coke or Pepsi. But this Classic Cola Poppy tasted like alcohol, and specifically like rubbing alcohol. And also at the same time, like bubble gum. It tasted like alcohol-infused bubble gum that was soaking and fermenting in knockoff Pepsi for a week. That's what it tasted like. I put on here, it initially tastes like Coke, but then it's nasty. I ended up giving it a 4. This one I would not drink again, but I was able to drink more of the can of this one. By the way, none of these that I've mentioned I drank the entire can of. I drank like maximum half. I think I drank the most of this one. But the alcohol flavor was weird in it. I don't know what it is that they put in it that gave it that taste, but it was also bubblegummy. So the next one I actually have right here. This is the Clear American, which I don't know if you can get this if you're outside of the States because of the brand. Clear American Candied Rainbow. Y'all, this is a 10 out of 10. It tastes exactly like Skittles, like scarily like Skittles. It is so good. Specifically, it tastes like the red, yellow, and like a hint of the purple Skittle. This would be phenomenal if you like put some vanilla ice cream in it and did like a whole root beer float situation. It is sweet. It is delightful. It is refreshing during the hot weather. Chef kiss, 10 out of 10. That being said, I do have some negatives about it. I'm keeping it at a 10. But it is a sweet drink, so it is not good with like dinner. Like I will always have a can of Dr. Pepper or Diet Coke or something like that with dinner or lunch. This is not great with that. Because it's so sweet, it does not pair well with savory. So this is what I call a snack beverage. And what that means is it is a beverage that you drink just throughout the day, kind of as a little snack, a little palate cleanser in between meals. It's not meant to be paired with anything. Also, of course, I got a bunch of these, and I did not even realize that in the ingredients, one of the ingredients is aspartame. Now, aspartame is the artificial sweetener that is in like Diet Coke, and I did some research into aspartame, and there's not really real research as to like how bad it is for you or what it does to you. There's theories that it's cancerous, but everything in this day and age is cancerous. We're inhaling like 3 credit cards of microplastics every day or something crazy like that. So aspartame though has been shown to cause hunger. So you get hungrier when you drink beverages with aspartame in it. So that could make you gain weight if you're drinking like a ton of this stuff and then getting the munchies throughout the day. But to be completely honest with you guys, if I have to pick my poison, so to speak, high fructose corn syrup or aspartame, because it's one or the other usually, since the corn syrup is the like real sweetener and then the aspartame is the artificial sweetener, I would rather pick aspartame and take the risk with the getting hungrier throughout the day. There's also some studies that show that it like lowers your serotonin or something, so it can make you sadder or something like that. These bottles are also huge, which is another con to this brand. To me, this is kind of like the equivalent of a 2-liter, which I normally do not buy. I prefer cans because that 2-liter of Coke or whatever will lose its carbonation after you open it. So that's one thing that I don't like about these, is that after I open it, I'll pour some out into a cup. I'll drink like, I don't know, maybe a third of this a day, and this will last me a few days. I'm on my last third, which is why I'm drinking it straight from the bottle like a heathen. But normally I just pour it into a cup and then just have it, just a little bit of this a day. So for me personally, I'm okay with having a little bit of aspartame a day if it means that I am cutting out all of the like real heavy sugar stuff from my diet. But unfortunately, that also means that by day 3, it's not super carbonated and it's just kind of like flavored water. Maybe I should get one of those like soda stream things that I could, I don't know, could you like recarbonate the water by sticking a little straw thing in there and bubbling it up? I don't know, but that would be cool. My camera battery's about to die, so I'm going to switch over to my phone. One sec. Okay, we're going to be looking a little different because the setup's different, but ignore that. Pretend like you didn't see the switch. So next is another Clear American in the peach flavored, and this one was really good. I rated it a 9. It tastes just like peach gummy rings, not like an actual peach. It's very sweet, which again, I love, but it does have that pesky aspartame in it. So if you're trying to cut that out of your diet, then maybe stay away from the Clear American brand. Unfortunately, their flavors are the best tasting, but that is why I'm addicted to that stuff, because it's so good. It's sweet. It's flavorful. There are people who do not like the taste of the aspartame. It gives them headaches. Not me personally. See, I wish that I was a person who could get up in the morning and run, and I also wish that I was the kind of person who didn't like aspartame. But that peach flavor is so refreshing. I had a little bit of it the other day. It was so hot outside. We were out in the garage organizing things when I came inside and cracked open that peach flavored, and it was just, oh, it hit so hard. Okay, the next one is the Bubbly Burst in the flavor Peach Mango. Made me think of you, Nerdy Peach Mango, if you're watching this video. I do not love mango, but this was good. It was also very refreshing. It's a little tart, so if you enjoy drinks with tartness to it, then you would probably really like this one. As I said, I do not, but it wasn't so bad that I was like puckering. It did not have amazing carbonation, but it was okay. It was better than the Poppy. No, was it Poppy? Yeah, it was better carbonation than the Poppy, but it was definitely like, if you don't drink the entire thing, the second time that you open it, it's gonna have like no fizz to it. So I gave the Bubbly Burst Peach Mango an 8 out of 10. Next, we have a couple of ice flavors. I used to drink ice all the time when I was in high school, and I don't know why, I just haven't for the past few years. The two that I tried this past week, I think might be newer, but kind of on the theme of like the Skittles, you know, like the waters, carbonated waters that taste like candies. Ice has a Starburst line, and one that I tried this week was the Ice Pink Starburst, and this tasted exactly like the Pink Starburst. Creepily so. I don't know what else to say about it. If you like Starburst, specifically the pink ones, which are my personal favorite, this is a 10 out of 10. Highly recommend. On the same wavelength, I also tried the red Starburst ice. This one I only gave a 5 out of 10. It was meh. I don't know if I just don't like the red Starburst. That's the cherry one, right? Maybe it's the cherry flavor that I did not like. I wish I had Ryan try the red Starburst one so that he could tell if it tasted just like the red Starburst like the pink one did. But I don't know. I guess it tasted like the red Starburst, but I did not love it. But you might. But I gave it a 5 out of 10. And then finally, the last carbonated beverage that I tried in the past week was the ice and the flavor pomegranate. This is good. This one I used to drink all the time. It was one of my go-to flavors back in the day. This one is tart, but I specifically like the pomegranate flavor in the morning time with breakfast. I normally do not have a grapefruit with breakfast, even though they say that it's very good for you. I normally just do not have time in the morning to prepare myself that. Normally it's like a protein bar for me until I can have lunch. But recently Ryan has been making like a full breakfast every morning with bacon and egg and fruits and bagels or toast, and it's been delightful. And I had this pomegranate ice one morning with the breakfast, and it just paired so well because it's tart and refreshing, and it's great. I give it an 8 out of 10. And the only reason it didn't get a 10 out of 10 from me is because I wish that it was a tad sweeter, but the ice drinks do not have any of the high fructose corn syrup or the aspartame in it. So I think overall, health-wise, the Poppy, the Olipop, and the ice are going to be your best options. But the Olipop uses plant-based products in their sodas, which I did not learn until after I cracked open the cans and drank them, which makes perfect sense because remember how I said that it tasted like earth, like plants? To me anyways, it was very evident what the ingredients were. They weren't fooling me. Like, I could have told you that there were plants in that before I learned that there were plants in that. So there we go. There is my health journey update, my review on the not soda sodas. You guys are going to have to let me know in the comments if you're also trying to kick the soda addiction, what alternatives you enjoy, what's your favorite flavor, especially if you're a sweets person like me. You got to let me know. I have an entire fridge full of different flavors of the ices. Ryan went ham at Walmart the other day and he got every single flavor that they carried. So there's like 25 of them down there. So let me know also if you want updates on the ice flavors and give me any suggestions that you have. I would greatly appreciate it. And I'm excited for this week's Makes episode. I don't want to spoil anything for you, so I'm gonna zip it. I'm going to shut up right now. Hopefully I didn't let you guys down with my makes this week because I kind of hyped them up. But I thought these are some of my favorite things that I have ever made. And look at that. The gang's all there. We're filling back in. Those shelves have looked so empty since Comic-Con because they were full of stuff and then I took stuff and it sold. So before I say goodbye, of course, I need to give a huge, gigantic, endless thanks to our channel members in the Cosmic Couch Club. We got so many new members over the past few weeks, so welcome to all of you. Hopefully I don't scare you away. If you want to join the coziest constellation in the universe, the couch is always open. Thank you all so much again for hanging out with me today, and I will see you on the next one. Bye-bye.